these communities are, I tell everybody, it's like a cult. Like there are so many online communities for barndominiums. You know, we own several of them that are hundreds of thousands of people who have an interest. And and they're like, I can't believe this many people have Barndos. I said, oh, no. A small percentage of these people actually have one, but all of them want one. And so they all have questions, and there's so many differing and opposing views, and it's a never ending cycle of who's right and who's wrong. And, I do it this way. And then inevitably someone comes along to try to find a more cost effective solution, and they just sell it in the market. And people are uneducated because it's as long as they've been around, it's still a relatively new disruptive type idea in the residential housing community. And so one of the things I love is when you engage with people. So there's a couple things we can dissect here. But in terms of someone sitting at home and they're debating whether or not we're going to DIY it, because that's a huge portion of this industry. Like it's just, it naturally attracts people who are generally pretty handy, versus someone who comes to us and says, do it for me. So and we kind of service all those areas between the two of us. Like, we do it yourself, we'll do it with you, or we'll do it for you. What would you give as advice to someone who's considering doing this and trying to do it DIY?
Well, and I want to cover a couple of things. You brought up about 500 subjects here. So, one thing is that you and we are not competitors, right? Not at all. And, those that have interacted with me, whether you're a DIYer or somebody just wants to general contractor or their own, or they're a contractor, they have found that I will answer any question for anybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference. Is the thing that I think is most important is I want to see people get structurally sound buildings that they love.
Oh.
And as long as it meets that criteria, then I'm all good with it. That's the end of the game is, hey, if everybody wins out of it, that's great. And I don't want to see failures. Things fail, it makes us all look bad. And then we get it's kind of like what I call the blowaway carports, even though in our part of the country, they collapse from snow before they blow away.
Right.
But, I see people thinking they can live in those. And when those fall down, then people go, well, those steel covered buildings, they are just no good. And even though we are so far evolved from that, we have to pick up the pieces for those failures. So
and they're everywhere. We've got people in our market, and literally the name of their company is Carport, and they're like offering barndominium kits, and I'm thinking,
it's terrifying.
Please don't buy this. And I will say this in our area, and I think it's kind of nationally being adopted, is municipalities are really starting to step up and have some higher requirements. And especially here, because we have such an influx of people moving from other parts of the country here. We're full, by the way. But
hey, we're full in South Dakota too. We have lots of cows. We don't need any more people.
but people are flooding in, and so like municipalities are starting to restrict and get tighter and tighter and tighter. There's areas that we build in consistently, and we have to beat our head against the wall with the local municipalities, because there's two sides to this. One is they don't understand that at all. If they go out and this inspector is inspecting 1,000 houses and he's got 2 Barndos in the middle of it, they don't care about learning something new. And I get it from their perspective, right?
Yeah,
like
I understand.
This is another thing. I don't know the answers to it. And so we're always battling that. It's uneducation. But the flip side of that is some of these municipalities have made it where it's next to impossible for some of these kind of other structures to be used. But that doesn't stop people from buying it before they realize that. And so we have so many people, and it's getting better. But there was a 2-year period of time where we probably got 20 calls a week. Hey, I bought this building kit. They dropped it off in my front yard, and I need you to come erect it. And I'm like, I don't do that. Like, what did you buy? I mean, and I can remember specifically a client that ended up building with us spent over $90,000 on a kit, a Barndo kit, and it was it's a carport. It was a carport building, and they ended up erecting it on their property, and they use it for a carport, like a garage, a shop, or something. But like, I felt so bad. I mean, it was their cash.
Yeah,
it was all their cash, and like, there's no recourse for them, because unfortunately, a lot of these companies are here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
But let's lean into some of that. Like if there's one thing that I absolutely appreciate when I talk with you or engage with you online, is you always back it up with a fact, right? And so when someone's hearing this, because I promise you right now, there's someone that just heard us say this and they're already infuriated, right?
Oh yeah.
To talk about, because they live in one, or and granted, there are people who live in a part of their country where there is no restrictions to what you can do and what you can't do.
A lot of the country.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that just because they didn't inspect it, that if they had, it would pass. So elaborate a little bit on like these blowaways that we talk about, blowaway carport structures, like why they're not suitable for residential use.
Let's assume for a moment here that you could take that blowaway carport and you can anchor it down to something strong enough so that it doesn't blow away.
Right.
So we'll assume that you can do that, which I'm skeptical of that to begin with, but we'll assume you can do that. So we'll assume you're also somewhere that doesn't snow.
Right.
I mean, we're going to give them total benefit of the doubt here, but you have a building that is put together with normally 2.5-inch square tubing. Now, in order to live in this, hopefully you're thinking that I might want to insulate this so that I don't have to heat and cool everybody in the county. You only have 2.5 inches to work with in the beginning. So even if you're using closed cell spray foam, the best you're going to get is R17 out of the deal. And that in some places that might work for your walls, but tell you what, you get to that roof and you're going to be blowing out a bunch of heat, or a bunch of heat coming back at you. Plus, you have to run things like utilities through those walls. So you got to run wiring through there. You better have some real skinny pipes because you only have 2.5 inches to hide it in. Or you end up having to build a house inside of this shell in order to be able to insulate, to run the utilities, to be able to hang cabinets, to drywall it. It just is defeating. A lot of those blowaway carports are also based upon steel run horizontally, and steel siding is not designed for that. You have laps that are not designed to be run in that direction, and they run the roof that way as well. I can't see it. I take that back. I will see one positive about a blowaway carport. It was cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Outside of that, I can't tell you I see anything positive about it. I mean, I put the blowaway carports in the same category with Quonset huts, although the Quonset huts will stand up.
I'm just, in my mind, I can already feel the comments coming. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Barndo Show podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this content, hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And then be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms at the Barndo Co. Super simple to find us. And then when you're ready to dive in a little more, maybe look around some of our available floor plan options, or take a look at the gallery of our work, or maybe you're ready to connect with our team and explore what it looks like to build your dream barndominium, you can visit us online at thebarndoco.com.